we are expanding our work on education, society, and English work, and as well as arts. So our core business really is establishing partnerships between the UK and the Philippines. And before proceeding to how we, to give you an idea on how we do these partnerships, let me just, perhaps I thought it would be helpful to provide you with a quick facts about Philippines in terms of providing context to the country's education environment and opportunities, and hopefully you'll see opportunities there for international partnerships in this sector. Okay, so quick facts. Second slide. So Philippines is actually young and a populous country. So we are 12th most populous country in the world and 7th in the Asia. It is expected to become world's 10th populous country by 2030. So we have the largest number of 20 to 24-year-olds in Southeast Asia. And we are a mid-sized economy, fast-growing. We're the world's 40th largest economy in 2014, and our average annual GDP growth is 6.2%. So we are emerging middle class. So we are estimated to be like three in every 20 households. Philippines is also demographically archipelagic and Manila-centric. And our urbanization is 44%. I said demographically archipelagic because this also it has implications in terms of education provision, those challenges in terms of providing education services. And Manila-centric because in terms of how it applies to education, we then have more institutions in Manila that provides education services more accessibly. So going to the third slide. So our economy depends mostly on overseas Filipino worker remittances. There's a growing service sector though, and business processing sector has grown from less than $100 million in 2001 to more than $25 billion in 2015. So even as the new middle class of consumer emerges, poverty incidence remains higher than 25%, largely unchanged since 1970s. This is why it has been indicated as recorded as the highest unemployment rate within ASEAN in 2014. We are digitally connected. 47.1 million internet users, 46% penetration, and 87% of adult population own a mobile phone. So an average daily use of social media was 3 hours 42 minutes, and highest in the world in 2016. So English, sorry. English levels are generally very good, but not uniform across country. There's rapidly growing education for English as foreign language sector, but there's very little data on insight and English levels or learning outcomes in the Philippines that could inform policies for teaching and assessment. So this is a big gap for thought leadership. Many teachers need better English and better pedagogical skills, although skill delivery and funding for schools is always a challenge. There is a concern that English levels might have declined, and also this is a view that is also being contested. And CHED has expressed concern as to maintaining the competitive advantage of English. The next slide would be a disparity, just to show you how the disparity of education system in the Philippines. This is a crude way of showing it, but it's just really to show how the difference in infrastructure in both perhaps in the urban and the rural is quite different and quite, the gap is quite wide. Okay, and I'll go to the next slide, which is really more on the education implications. So generally, Filipinos have high regard to education. In terms of institutional players, Philippines has almost 50,000 elementary schools, over 12,000 secondary public and private schools, and over 4,500 TVET providers. And in higher education, we have almost 2,000 institutions. We have increasing enrollment trends at all levels. And recently, we have a shift to the K-12 program. It's the education informal and K-12. This is obviously partly triggered by the pressure from ASEAN integration and bring Philippines into a line with international practice from 2016 onwards. We also recently had academic calendar shift, so from June to August, so it's now instead of June to May, which used to be the case. Thus is increased spending on basic education, and this is also can be glimpsed from even basic education to higher education. There's increasing demand for higher education, and with that implication, CHED, or the Commission on Higher Education, is also been getting increasing budget over the last couple of years. Currently, education in the Philippines, especially for higher education sector, is price sensitive. There's a very small UK market in the Philippines. In fact, for this year, it's just almost, I think, 300 UK students going to the UK. So what are the implications in terms of, I'm now into slide 6. So implications and opportunities, and hope is also slide also look into opportunities and given the context of the Philippines. One is the pressure to maintain competitive advantage in English for training and certification of English teachers. So as I've indicated as well, the characteristic of the Philippines makes the opportunity for distance and learning. There is always a demand for an education that is tied up with employability. And there's an increasing investments and participation of corporate or business sector in delivery of more innovative and online education. To highlight, for example, so, in case of reforms and funding provided by religious it then afforded the Commission on Higher Education a window of opportunity to intensify efforts in providing quality higher education. So there's faculty development, overseas training, internationalization. In higher education has a program, K-12 transition program, which has actually a budget allocation in terms of improving the higher education sector. So there is a growing growing interest in internationalization from government, institutions, and private sector, but there's noticeably there's lack of policy support, experience, and skills to implement these strategies. So and with the new technology, rising levels of income, and more affordable international travel and good English language skills, young people have become more confident and internationally connected, and thus more interested in new ideas from overseas. So in a study conducted by by British Council Philippines, we have identified as one of the, Philippines has been identified as one of the ASEAN countries well placed to be a TNE hub, or transnational education hub. Mostly because of the factors that I've already mentioned, so growing economy, the growth of service sector, and increasing middle class, and the national strategies in place. So taking into account the country context and aligning with the reforms in education in the Philippines, the British Council has been focusing on working with the higher education sector in building its internationalization capacity. So our work on higher education sector is, one is really on helping them develop policies that would enable a better environment for transnational education and internationalization. So we supported them in developing a regulatory framework that will support TNE. We worked as well in terms of institutional capacity, building the capacity of internationalization. We have been linking up UK universities and Philippine universities through a research collaboration under our Newton Fund program. And lastly, we just recently start establishing program in collaboration with SHED that actually looks into how we can partner UK universities with Philippine universities on developing TNE programs. I'd like to highlight particular program. This is what we call TNE Links program. So it's a 2-year project that aims to provide capacity building and funding support to Philippine universities to develop TNE partnerships with the UK institutions. It's a £500,000 project for 2-year activities that would encompass development of postgraduate programs using, for instance, models such as screening, joint degrees, double degrees, in partnership with the UK, and offer that in the Philippines. So we have pre-selected 10 universities for this project, and these are universities, are top-ranking universities, which we will be actually developing such programs with the UK. Okay. Just for information, those perhaps who is not very familiar about transnational education, TNE is higher education delivered in a country other than the one where the award giving is. So our areas for the partnership actually in development of program is actually covering climate change, transportation studies, digital innovation, energy, health systems, engineering. And there would be a component of online blended and distance learning in terms of developing these programs to be delivered in the Philippines. I'll go to the last slide, which actually indicates partnership opportunities for the UK sector to work in the education sector, to the education sector in the Philippines. One is really developing partnership in terms of online component of transnational education programs. Second is perhaps working with UK higher education institutions in terms of developing industry linkage in terms of programs to be delivered in the Philippines. Another aspect is development or delivery of online courses for learners and teachers. As I've said, it's one opportunity given the geographical characteristics of the Philippines, and I think the next speaker will be able to perhaps discuss that a bit more. And another opportunity is perhaps content development for English market. We thought there's an opportunity really to professionalize the English as a second language business in the Philippines, and delivery of this to Asian market in the Philippines. And with that, I'm pleased to turn over the last slides.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. That was Lotus. Thank you very much. We will have questions for Lotus. We'll now hand over to Fanny, and Fanny will take you through the next section. Thank you very much, Lotus.
Good morning, everybody. As they said, my name is Penny Mariano, and I'm representing the Philippine eLearning Society and also my home institution, UP Open University. For the interest of time, I won't be elaborating on the definition of e-learning anymore, but we'll go straight to the topic assigned to me. So can we go to slide number 2? Okay, global e-learning market size was valued over 165 billion USD in 2015. It's likely to grow over 5% from 2016 to 2023, exceeding 240 billion USD. Factors such as low cost involvement accompanied by flexibility in learning are expected to drive the industry growth. It has been predicted also that the e-learning industry in the Philippines will continuously expand rapidly as reported by the Consumer Market Research in 2014. Areas of interest include online learning and training, software development, and e-content development. This market is likely to grow at a remarkable rate in the near future. Slide number 3. According to Ambient Insight, the major factors driving growth include the massive content digitization efforts across school systems in every country in the region, meaning the ASEAN, and the large-scale deployments of tablets in the academic segment, as well as the explosive growth of online higher education enrollments. Other factors cited are the strong demand for e-learning in the corporate sector, now especially in the BPO sector in many countries, and even the strong demand for digital English language learning products in both the academic and consumer segment across Asia. Slide number 4. So who are the potential users of e-learning here in the Philippines? So we have the HEIs, or the higher education institutions. Some of the primary and secondary schools are beginning to recognize the importance of e-learning, so they are primary potential users as well. Private companies for their training needs, business outsourcing companies, language centers, and of course the government entities. Generally, these sectors are the main consumers of e-learning products in the Philippines. There could be more emerging markets, but at this time they are identified as the major ones. Slide number 5. So what are the opportunities? Towards the end of 2014, the Philippine government passed the Distance and Open Education Act, which is the RA 650, which encourages higher education institutions to incorporate distance learning into their traditional course offerings. There are also a number of local learning companies emerging, as well as foreign e-learning companies taking base here in the Philippines. E-learning has been gaining ground in the education and agricultural sector with a big push from the government efforts. Some of the key government offices which are the main users of e-learning are TESDA and ETI. UP Open University, where I am affiliated, is in the forefront of distance education. As I've mentioned earlier, government entities such as the TESDA, or the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, and the Agricultural Training Institute are among the active users of e-learning among the government institutions. Slide number 6. I can say that e-learning is still quite new and still not widely used in the country, and these are some of the reasons why. First and foremost, and I think most Filipinos recognize this, is internet infrastructure is in dire need of improvement. I mean, big time improvement. It is a known fact that we have the slowest internet connection in Asia. And that is one reason why e-learning can really gain the momentum we are hoping for. Also, e-learning is not fully accepted as a supplemental mode of learning, especially in the public education system. Still, most of our primary and secondary public schools are not keen on implementing e-learning as part of their normal education system. And for me, the most serious hurdle is in the mindset change among the policymakers and educators themselves. According to former Chancellor of our university, Dr. Felix Librero, the most serious hurdle in e-learning in the Philippines is changing the mindset. He said most of the teachers, policymakers, and even decision makers are still steeped in the conventional learning norm that is very teacher-centered learning. He further argued that as long as they remain convinced that we should not shift to a learner-centered mindset, digital learning will simply remain a good idea, and learners who've been used to traditional methods must be ready to take responsibility for their learning in an ICT integrated classrooms. So it's a sad scenario that most of the students are very much ready to take on ICT, but the educators themselves, the teachers, are the ones who are not yet ready. Slide number 7, please. So what are the areas of development? I said that conduct a comprehensive review and assessment of the e-learning industry in the Philippines. When I was doing my research on the e-learning industry, I realized that there are not much solid information available online. And based on experience, getting information from various educational and government institutions is also quite challenging. Another area of development is market forecast and technology manpower matching among the target users. For the industry players, e-learning products development for their target client is an area of development as well. E-learning training, specifically among educators across discipline to empower them, is also a major area of development. Slide number 8. So industry opportunities and growth areas. So we see a need for a localized learning management system. Most of the learning management system that we use here in the Philippines among the active e-learning users are foreign-based or foreign-owned companies. Now we have a growing number of mobile app developers in the Philippines, and most of them are really going into mobile app for education. So it's a really an industry opportunity in the Philippines. Of course, e-learning software development, e-learning hardware. Like now, there are some companies who are investing on hardware, like a one system, like a one system that has everything, internet, content, in one box. I know of one company who is investing or doing research on the e-learning hardware. And of course, e-learning services and training, especially now that there are so many companies, private companies who are really investing on their training, and they are already going online. And of course, the all solution e-learning products. Slide number 9. So potential partnership and investment opportunities. Partnership, as I mentioned, I'm representing the Philippine eLearning Society, and the society is mostly actively promoting and using e-learning as a method of teaching and learning. We have members from colleges and universities, both in public and private schools. And now we are also gaining momentum on engaging institutional partners. Of course, the Commission on Higher Education, which is in charge of the tertiary educational institutions here in the Philippines, and the Department of Education, who takes care of the primary and secondary education. They are also potential, actually not potential, but they are really starting as the main consumer of e-learning. In the recent years, there are a growing number of programs initiated by both CHED and DepEd to really push the incorporation of ICT in the traditional education system. HEIs, or the higher education institutions, there are a number of public and private tertiary education institutions which are already into e-learning. 2014 data revealed that there are 15 open learning and distance education, or OLDE, providers recognized by CHED. Numbers could be growing, I think, in the last 2 years, especially since the passing of RA 10650. There are a number of local e-learning companies providing services and products to the market. And again, based on my limited sources, I could not really give the exact number or even an estimate of how large the e-learning industry right now. Another potential partner are telcos, or telephone companies. They are huge potential partners in hastening the spread of e-learning in the country. There are some telcos who are really actively engaging or partnering with private and public schools just to enhance or just to speed up the use of ICT or the use of e-learning in their system. Slide number 10. So slide number 10, I present just a number. It's just very few local key players in terms of e-learning. One of them is Kite e-learning solution. It is an educational solutions company. It's a local company that specializes in the design and development of interactive lessons, assessment programs, multimedia products, and for institutions. There is one company called NILS, who provide healthcare professionals with an innovative and effective way to improve and update their knowledge of relevant health topics and products. As I mentioned, telcos such as the Smart Communication has a program called the School in a Bag program. It was a program a few years back in partnership with some public schools through the Department of Education. I'm not sure if they are still doing it right now, but I really hope that they are still continuing with that. Additional key players include publishing companies which are very active in the e-learning industry, such as the Vibal Publishing and the Liwa Publishing Houses. And there could be a lot more. For the interest of time, I'm really disappointed that I wasn't able to comprehensively search all the e-learning, but I'm pretty sure that there are more. There are more e-learning, and this webinar actually prompted me to really seriously consider doing an extensive research on the e-learning industry, local e-learning industry in the Philippines. So with that, thank you very much for this opportunity to share just a general overview of the Philippine e-learning industry, and we hope that in the future there will be more opening of collaboration and even investment opportunities from the members of the British Chambers of Commerce and the key players of the e-learning industry in the Philippines. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Lotus from the British Council and Anthea from the Philippine e-learning Society. It's a very informative presentation. Thank you so much. We now go to the question and answer portion. We received here some questions from the registrants. I'll read them and I'll perhaps request the most appropriate speaker to respond. Alright, first question, and the one asking is named Graham Anderson. It's specifically intended for Lotus. Is there a focus on printed book or online journals at the higher education institution level?
From my experience with working with SHED in terms of developing guidelines on mostly on transnational education, and there's a particular focus as well as online printed materials that would compare obviously your program with you done if you have really would compare. I don't answer your question, but I guess my point is that in terms of programs development that would relate to partnership between the Philippines, institutions printed materials would form part of resources that is actually a requirement from the Philippine side in terms of education having adequate or actually international standards materials for learning resources.
Alright, thank you very much, Lotus. Next question is from Chris O'Gara. He'd like to ask, are online distance learning degrees offered by UK higher education institutions valued by the government of the Philippines?
Okay, when you mean valid, is it the same as recognized? If that's the case, pretty much recognized actually, especially now with the internationalization. Distance education degrees from wherever is highly recognized by the Philippine government.
Yeah, and if I may add to that as well, the online component, actually the online learning is also part of the transnational education model that SHED has recognized as part of the modality.
Right, thank you very much. Third question we have here from Rob Dixon. He'd like to ask, given the archaeological nature of the country, is there a national strategy of how to conduct e-learning within an overall blended learning solution, or is e-learning seen as the solution? I'll repeat that one. Given the archaeological nature of the country, is there a national strategy of how to conduct e-learning within an overall blended learning solution, or is e-learning seen as the solution?
In terms of it, if it's an overall blended learning solution, I don't think so, because now it's institution based. Like currently, that's the setup. Like if an institution wants to move into blended learning, they have to apply for it with the Committee on Higher Education. But now, since there is a law, so the Philippine government is really encouraging more and more institutions to go into blended learning. But there is really not an overall strategy as of the moment. Probably it could be a good policy area that currently it's just institution based.
Thank you very much. We have another question from Fernand Fortunato. Let me know if currently what are the higher education institutions in the Philippines that international education from the UK, USA, among others.
I could speak for the UK side.
British
In fact, based on the recent information from the chat, there's only one UK university doing ME partnership last week is GME. Because some universities in the Philippines, they turn some partnerships like ME, but it's actually in a ways. So yeah, this is why this very minimal numbers. This is what British Council is actually trying to respond to. We wanted to develop some more limitations in this aspect.
Right. Thank you very much for that, Lotus. And we have here one last question. In terms of education curriculum, how different is the Philippines from the UK? How can e-learning companies in the UK adjust its modules to serve the Philippine market? Perhaps that we could answer that question. So I'll repeat that one. In terms of education curriculum, how different is the Philippines from the UK? How can an e-learning company from the UK adjust its modules to the Philippine market?
Okay. As I mentioned, Philippines is just recently trying to take it from transition. And that means adding up to additional years for this education. And it is primarily because we wanted to meet up international standards. And we've just started this. In fact, our first year is just started in 2016. So we understand that in a couple of years, we will have a bit more, in a way, met the standards in terms of the number of years. But as we are now, what we're trying to do actually really in this aspect is adjustment. For instance, if we want to do some development in terms of partnership, we need to focus more on the postgraduate level because that then evens out the because we obviously had the postgraduate already passed to stage. So in a way, while we're waiting for people to actually take effect, we're in the stage we're trying to fill in the gaps, and I guess this is why we wanted to have more international projects for Philippines to learn from you.
Yeah, and I think based on experience, it is easier for the higher education sector or the postgraduate program to penetrate like probably British or UK open universities or distance learning universities. That's where it's actually easier to partner with HEIs. Did you think? Yes. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Lotus from the British Council and Thea from the Philippine e-Learning Society. For the other questions sent, we will no longer be able to answer those, but we will be able to send you the email addresses of our high-skilled and very qualified education experts. We'll send that through to all registrants or attendees of today's webinar. Just a quick note as well, we will be able to download the presentation. And we're happy to announce that the next webinar of the British Chamber is set on the last week of November. Its focus is on exporting medical devices to the Philippines. So if any of you know of potential or interested UK companies, feel free to share the information. I'd also like to announce that our chairman, Chris Nelson, will be in the UK starting on the 31st of October until the 4th of November to meet some UK companies that are interested to expand or do business in the Philippines. If you'd like to schedule one-to-one meetings with him, you may visit the website of UK ASEAN Business Council, that's UKABC. There's a platform there where you can book or set an appointment with the delegation from Southeast Asia and just choose the Philippines, and you'll then have an appointment with our chairman. Alright, so that's alright. So Lotus will have an announcement as well.
Yeah, sorry, just reminded that I think I should just promote as well. Under our TNE Links program, we're bringing in 10 universities from the Philippines and the UK on November 21 to 25. We'll be conducting a sort of a briefing session about projects. So your universities or education agencies will be might be interested about the project. As I said, it's really developing partnerships on TNT. We're going to have also a plenary session where we will be asking universities to meet up with different universities and also set one-on-one appointment as well in terms of further discussions around this area. So, as I mean, you can email me more for information, but I just like to let it out just in case you might be interested.
Alright, thank you, Lucas. And I'll take this opportunity as well to mention about the business support services offered by the British Chamber of Commerce by our organization. I'm Rona, the project manager, and our role really is to help British companies find potential and relevant local partners or contacts in the Philippines. So if any of you attending this webinar is keen to connect with the local players in the Philippines, especially the education institutions, we are qualified and we would be delighted to help you connect with them. So our market introduction services. We will send you our email address. Mine is yukmili@vision.org.ph. Send that one. So just send us a note about your requirements and let's see how we can help. Alright, so that's all for today. Thank you everyone for attending our webinar on e-learning in the Philippines. But of course, thank you so much to our experts, education experts, our speakers. Once again, we have Lotus, the head of education from the British Council. Thank you, Lotus. We also have Antea, the president of the Philippine eLearning Society. We're really privileged to have you this afternoon. For those who are in the Philippines, good evening. Enjoy your night. For those in the UK, have a lovely day. Thank you for